Hello, Kelly here. I have been asked to share over these interwebs a little bit about faith during quarantine and what that means to me. And first, I just want to share that I am probably the newest fan of the Avengers movies. They have been out for so long, and I feel like I've been living under a rock or something because I hadn't really ever gotten into them. But my sister Nicole and her husband Daniel were here about a week ago now, and they were on a mission to try to watch all 17 of the Avengers movies in chronological order of when they were set in the movie. So, for example, Captain America wasn't the first movie to be made, but it was set first. So that was the first one they watched. Anyways, yeah, I wasn't really interested in doing that with them, but they got me hooked when they showed me Thor Ragnarok. You have to watch it if you're not a fan of the Avengers at all. That did it for me. So, anyways, I heard on relevant radio that my mom was listening to while she was cooking or something that you should watch things that make you feel inspired and not just things that distract you. And I thought that was really good advice for these times because, yeah, I feel like we have a little bit more free time now without having to commute between places, or maybe things that you've been involved in were canceled. And yeah, I know for me, I've had a lot more free time. So I've had to figure out what to do with that time. And Avengers is just one of the things. I probably watch one movie every 2 or 3 days or something like that. There's so many. You could do that for a long time. But for example, I was watching Doctor Strange, who I don't think is an actual Avenger, but anyways, he's in the universe. And during the movie, his mentor, the Ancient One, she said something that really stuck with me, and she said that death is what gives life meaning. And that stood out to me because we're surrounded by this fear of a virus that could bring death, and people are dying. And it's a really good reminder to us that death is imminent, and you can't really prevent it. And hopefully we can prevent it now from dying from a terrible virus, but at some point we're all going to die. And I know that sounds really morbid, but because we die, it makes our time here on earth very valuable. And what we do with our time is really important. And this is just a good time to kind of reevaluate what you spend your time doing, especially your free time, where you have more control over what you choose to do. So, to be honest with you, I don't have my free time perfectly figured out, but there are some things that I do or try to keep in mind when I'm choosing what I do to make the most of time. So, the thing that I kind of try to keep in mind is doing things that give me life. And what I mean by that is, I think we've all had the experience of doing something where after you're finished with it, you just feel terrible about yourself. You don't feel energized. Maybe you just feel lazy or even worthless. And those aren't things that we should be doing. Why are we doing things that make us feel bad about ourselves? There are so many good things that we can do that make us feel uplifted and energized, and like we did something that was worthwhile. So for me, there's 3 things that I keep in mind now, I guess a little bit more than I did before quarantine, to make me feel energized, and that is something creative, something that helps me exercise, and then prayer. So I try to do one of those things every day. And I'm going to focus a little bit on prayer because this is for you guys at Life Team. So one thing that I like to start my day with is morning prayer with Father Justin on Facebook Live. And I do that with my mom. And my mom and I never really prayed together before. So that was really cool to be able to share that with her. It's at 8 in the morning live, but sometimes we sleep in a little bit and watch it later on Facebook. And then from 3 to 4 p.m., I found that I have a little bit of free time. So that's an hour that I spend in prayer. And it's hard to spend an hour in prayer. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I have no idea what I'm going to say or what I need to pray about. Sometimes I get really distracted. But God doesn't ask for perfection. He just asks for a little bit of time and a little bit of effort. And so that's what I try to do when I pray. And one thing that helps me just to get kind of in the mood of prayer is starting that hour with the Divine Mercy Chaplet. 3 p.m. is already an awesome time for mercy and asking for God's mercy. So it's a really good time to say the chaplet. And the reason 3 p.m. is the hour of mercy is because Jesus died at that hour. So I would just encourage you to question yourself about what resource that is available to us now would work in your life. So it could be the virtual Going Deeper. It could be daily mass or the morning or evening prayer with Father Justin. Stations of the Cross. There are so many, not even with just St. Martin's, but just on the interwebs, there's a bunch of different churches who are also offering virtual resources. So, and the other question I would encourage you to ask is, who can you pray with? Is there anybody in your house that maybe would say yes to praying with you? I think for me it's helpful to be on schedule with somebody else, because if you're sleeping in or if you forgot, then they can remind you. And for me the prayer part of my day has been really essential because it reminds me that God is with me, and because of that I don't have anything to fear, and that death is real, but so is Jesus' resurrection. So I can change my perspective to what I focus on, and that gives me hope. And then also that God wants to use this time as a time of growth. And somebody posted on Facebook the metaphor of a cocoon, and that really stuck with me because as we all know, a cocoon is a time when like a caterpillar is transforming into a butterfly. So that can be a period for us of transformation where we can emerge later on, hopefully transformed for the better. So going a little bit back to Avengers for a second. The Avengers obviously have superpowers, whether it's their suit or just them as a person. Maybe they have heightened strength or something like that. And I think it would be really cool to have superpowers. However, I feel like that would be a lot of pressure to be on the Avengers and having to protect the world from all sorts of dangers. Also very violent, which I'm not very into. So I'm kind of glad that I don't have superpowers. And the plus side is, as human beings, we're not Avengers, we're not superheroes, but we do have powers. And they're not superpowers, they're more like ordinary powers. And what I mean by that is we have gifts that we've been given by God that make us who we are. And we each have a different set of those gifts. So for example, you might be a really good friend or a really good listener. Maybe you make people laugh. Maybe you're a great public speaker. So those are like our ordinary powers. And we all have them. So I just want to encourage you to think about how you can use those gifts that you've been given during this time of quarantine. because they're not disabled just because you might be isolated or separated from your friends or other family members. You can use your powers now, maybe in different ways than you ever imagined you could use them before. So just use this time as a time to be creative with how you can reach out to others or help someone in need, or create something, or get your body healthy again, or, refresh your relationship with God. This can be a time of incredible growth, and I'm so excited to hear about those moments of goodness that come from this maybe uncomfortable time. So that's all I have. I miss everyone at Life Teen. I wish we could be together again, but I know God is doing wonderful things even now. So bye, signing off.